joining us now live from Capitol Hill, Democratic Senator Bill Nelson of Florida. Senator, thanks very much for joining us. A quick question. One of the things the president wants is a vote in favor of $500 million, $500 million to arm and train moderate Syrian rebels. Will you vote yay or nay on that legislation?
I will vote yes, and the Congress needs not only to do that, but we need to vote to give the authorization for him to use the forces that he's talked about. We need the unity of this government, not only for our allies, but for our enemies to understand our unity as well.
Is it smart for the United States to tell ISIS and other terrorists there will be no U.S. combat forces involved in this effort to destroy you, only air power?
Yes, and the reason is you can draw the authorization for force by prohibiting rotational forces, that is large landmass armies. But you still allow the military the flexibility if they need a commando raid, special operations, if they need forward air observers, all of which are boots on the ground, American boots on the ground, in addition to the airstrikes coordinated with a coalition, coordinated with others' boots on the ground, then that's how you bring about the success that we've already seen in northern Iraq and in the Kurdish area.
So what you're saying is you do support certain boots on the ground, commandos, special operations forces, people, U.S. military personnel who will go in there, risk their lives to help coordinate airstrikes. Is that what you're saying?
Of course. You've got to give our military the ability to carry out a successful operation. And it's not just by looking from the air. Sometimes you're going to have to go. Remember, we've already had boots on the ground when we went in to try to rescue the journalist. That was American boots on the ground.
So why does the president keep saying there will be no U.S. combat boots on the ground? The White House line is there will be no combat boots on the ground. It sounds like they have a different attitude than you do.
No, I don't believe so. He is talking about the big landmass armies, the whole-scale invasion into Iraq that was done. That's what the president doesn't want. That's not what I want. That's not what I think the American people want.
Are there any other coalition partners who will join the U.S. in launching airstrikes against ISIS targets, not only in Iraq, but in Syria as well? I'm not talking about the Iraqi Air Force. I'm talking about Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Turkey, Jordan. Any of those countries you believe are committed to joining the U.S. in airstrikes?
I just came from Secretary Hagel. Secretary Kerry is over in the region right now. They're working full-time to put together this coalition.
So what's the answer? Has anybody agreed? Have the Saudis, they have a huge air force. They have F-15s, they have F-16s, they have AWACS, they have sophisticated aircraft. Are they committed to launching airstrikes?
I can tell you, Wolf, that we're definitely going to try to get them to do it. Now, when it comes to the Turks, remember, they've got over 40 hostages held by ISIS right now. So it's going to be a little more difficult for the Turks at this point.
But Turkey's a NATO ally. You would think they would be on board on an issue like this. I understand that there are 40 Turkish diplomats who were taken by ISIS, but if that's going to prevent Turkey from getting involved, that will only encourage ISIS to take diplomats and civilians from all sorts of other countries if Turkey is going to be cowed like that.
Well, I believe at the end of the day that Turkey and our other NATO partners will be in this. But after all, you've got to give them some leeway right now.
There was a debate that's generated a lot of a commotion out there on social media between Senator McCain and Jay Carney, the former White House press secretary, now a CNN contributor, on this inability of the Obama administration to get what's called a residual force left in Iraq after all U.S. troops pulled out at the end of 2011. Listen to a little clip.
You, in your role as a spokesperson, bragged about the fact that the last American combat troop had left Iraq. If we had left a residual force, the situation would not be what it is today, and there would be a lot more.
Senator, I can posit with great respect for you that we disagree on that, and that you.
No, you can't,
and that you,
because you
sir,
don't
if
have
I
the
may.
facts. You don't have the facts, Mr. Carney. That's the problem.
Senator, I understand that you present the facts that you believe are true based on the argument that you've made for a long time, sir, that we should leave troops in Iraq in perpetuity.
All right, you're a member of the Armed Services Committee. What happened there? Why wasn't there a few thousand U.S. troops who were left behind? What Senator McCain, Senator Lindsey Graham, others say, if there would have been a U.S. military presence, maybe this current crisis could have been avoided.
I think it's time to move on from that, but I will answer your question. I think it's time for us to unify and get on with this new threat. I believe that the administration wanted to keep a residual of troops. It just made sense. It's what we're trying to do right now in Afghanistan as we are about to leave. But the Maliki government, specifically Maliki, said no. Well, you see how good a leader he was for the Iraqi government. Finally, he's gone.
Because Senator McCain says that Maliki would have been ready, but it was President Obama and the Obama administration really didn't try. They wanted to leave maybe 1,000 or 2,000. Maliki, he says, wanted significantly more, 5,000 to 10,000 U.S. troops remaining, and it was only 1,000 or 2,000. That wasn't good enough, and that's why he wouldn't give immunity to U.S. military personnel who remain in Iraq as part of the new status of forces agreement. What do you say to that?
It's all evolved around that status of forces agreement, whether or not there would be liability. As to the number of troops that we wanted to be left there, I think it was the higher number, not the lower number.
That's what the U.S. I know that the military wanted 5,000 to 10,000. The question is, and we'll check this, how much did the Obama administration as a whole want to keep there? And you're right, the Nouri al-Maliki refused to provide immunity to any U.S. troops staying. They've changed that. The 1,600 troops who are now serving in Iraq, and they're all wearing boots, I should say, the 1,600 U.S. troops who are now in Iraq, they do have immunity from prosecution from Iraqi law. That's one of the reasons they are there. But I also agree with you. It's time to look ahead and move on. Senator Nelson, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Wolf.